Jiffy Lube Franchising. Let's talk about that. In today's conversation, I want to explain to you everything you need to know about Jiffy Lube Franchising. I want to explain to you how much it costs to start, what are the profitability expectations, and how long would it take you to actually turn around a Jiffy Lube business model. Okay, so here's the overview. When you think about Jiffy Lube, I want you to really understand that Jiffy Lube is associated with Shell. Okay, Jiffy Lube actually is owned by a Pennzoil Quaker State Company, which in turn is owned by Shell Company. So behind Jiffy Lube, you have let's say a corporate behemoth. Okay, so Shell Petroleum, everybody knows Shell. Okay, so the reputation is there. The quality of operations in there is there. So you can expect when you go into a Jiffy Lube franchise that you are going to turn around this model and turn profitable because the model has already been put in place and the model does work. So Jiffy Lube is actually the biggest chain of auto maintenance locations with a quick lube change in the country. Though Jiffy Lube's most popular service is actually oil change, it also offers a variety of other auto maintenance services, including repairs to the air filtration, air conditioner, transmission, windshield, cooling system, and fuel system. So you have a large constellation of let's say procedures there. Additionally, Jiffy Lube locations are certified for emissions inspections. So that's really good because it gives your customer, your future customers, let's say the certainty that they will be in good hands. Okay. So when you think about Jiffy Lube, I want you to think about approximately 2,000 stores in the U.S. The required investor net worth is $500,000. I'll talk more about the numbers later on, but I just want to give you a quick glance into the whole operation so you have a clear idea what you're getting yourself into. So the required investor net worth, $500,000. Required investor liquid cash. So here we are speaking about disposable assets, okay? About $250,000. So when you think about minimum investment, think about $250,000 and maximum investment, let's say $500,000 all the way to $750,000. And the standard franchise term when it comes to a Jiffy Lube is actually 20 years. So you have to sign up for 20 years with the Jiffy Lube franchise. And yeah. Let me talk to you about the opportunity here. So can you really start a Jiffy Lube franchise this year? Chances are you can. Okay. It's all about location. It's all about affordability. Most importantly, it's all about customer service. Okay. Now, if you have at least $250,000, that's a little earlier. You got to have $250,000 in liquid cash. If you have at least that, and you have a net worth of $500,000, net worth being total assets minus total liabilities. Now, those total assets don't have to be liquid, right? You can have stocks, you can have you can have a house, and but the thing is, your net worth should be at least $500,000. So if you have at least that, and you can meet the startup costs, because see, the thing is, you have the monetary requirements, but you also need to invest at least to start. The startup cost, you're looking at $250,000 all the way to $750,000. So if you can really afford that, then you can start a Jiffy Lube franchise. The company says no automotive experience is necessary to operate a service center, although they do point out that their most successful franchisees have a previous experience running a business. So it really does help if you have a little bit of experience when it comes to, let's say, mechanical dexterity, if you will, okay? And Jiffy Lube demands that the franchisee or their designated manager take the necessary training and be responsible for managing the day-to-day operations of the business. This means what? It means that this opportunity may actually be suitable for, let's say, a passive investment, okay? So in terms of cost, if you close your eyes and thinking about how much does a Jiffy Lube franchise cost, you are going to think about, well, first of all, the cost to start a Jiffy Lube franchise goes from $250 to $750, okay? And so this cost ranks as moderate to high if you were to compare it to other franchises out there. So the initial franchise fee is $35,000. The fee may be waived for qualified military veterans at the company's discretion. And after opening, you are required to pay an array of ongoing fees and charges. They include royalty fee, 0% of gross sales in the first 6 months, then 3 to 5% per month onwards. You have the POS support fund, $160 per month. Hardware support, $68 per month. Then you have data delivery fee, optional. Depends on the number of stores operated by the franchisee. Currently $200 per month for 1 to 25 stores, $400 for 26 to 99 stores, or $850 for more than 99 stores, plus operational and maintenance expenses. Training expenses, $75 per person. Fleet processing charge, $1.25 per fleet invoice processed. National Advertising Fund, 1.5% of gross sales. Local Advertising Cooperative Fund, 2.5% of gross sales. Local Advertising, 5% of gross sales. And minimum advertising requirement, 4 to 5% of gross sales. So I'll put everything on the screen so you have a clear idea of what you're getting yourself into if you were to go with a Jiffy Lube franchise. I want to really go a little more, let's say, a little more granular when it comes to the key costs that you need to really account for if you are thinking about opening a Jiffy Lube this year. Now, all the costs I'm giving you, I'll put this on the screen also. We have an entire table. The thing is that everything depends also on your location, right? If you were to open a Jiffy Lube in the New York area versus in Colorado or let's say Delaware, the cost will not be the same. So it depends on the metropolitan area where you are opening a Jiffy Lube. So the franchise fee, I've said this before, the high and low, $35,000. Conversion fee, you are looking at $17,000. The first month's rent and security deposit, $16,000 all the way to $17,500. Okay, so just expect to you need to expect those ongoing costs. You also have travel and living expenses while training, because see, the whole thing is that you are going to receive training from Jiffy Lube Corporate, but you are responsible for costs while you're training. And equipment, signs, and fixtures, we are speaking about $125,000 all the way to $325,000. Again, the delta in pricing has to do with your location, your geography, the states, city, or county where you are at. Initial inventory for your Jiffy Lube franchise or Jiffy Lube store, $20,000 all the way to $30,000. Opening marketing expenses, like you trying to really drum up business in your area to actually create buzz in your area. This will set you back anywhere from $15,000 all the way to $20,000. And then you also have insurance, because your store, your Jiffy Lube store, must be insured. $10,000 all the way to $20,000. The prices I'm giving you are actually for the year, okay? And working capital for the first 6 months, $45,000. And the growth fund, we are looking at somewhere from $0 to $77. So $77,000. So you can see that overall, when you think about, again, I'll put this on the screen, but you can estimate how much it will cost you to actually open a Jiffy Lube franchise this year. I want to talk to you about the extras here. When you think about Jiffy Lube franchising, are we speaking about profitability? In other words, are Jiffy Lube franchises profitable? Yes, definitely. Right off the bat. In all areas, by the way. Average annual gross income for US Jiffy Lube centers is close to $1 million, okay? With a typical net profit of 10% or $100,000. So this is actually above the average net income for US franchises, all franchised businesses, of $60,000 per year, and ranks actually Jiffy Lube profitability as moderate, okay? And what's actually the failure rate for a Jiffy Lube franchise? Well, when you saw the profitability numbers, the failure rate is pretty low. The failure rate for Jiffy Lube is 1% in the first year, rising to 3% by year 3. So you can see that basically pretty low, okay? And you might want to start actually a Jiffy Lube franchise this year, because right now the company is actually the #1 national fast car care brand, and they have more than 27 million annual customers. So they're very, very, very clearly popular. Okay. Now, despite a moderate average initial investment of 250 all the way to 750,000, and net profits of 90 grand the first year, or 90 grand to 100 grand the first year, it will still take almost 4 years to get your money back. Okay, so it is still worth it. It is still worth it because when you think about it, there are more than 278 million registered cars and trucks in the U.S. 278 million. Think about it. Okay, and they all have to those cars I'm talking about, they all have to get their oil changed somewhere. So if you like gasoline, oil, and the sound of engines, and you are seeking a solid business opportunity with a low failure rate and high traffic flow, a Jiffy Lube service center could be the franchise for you, really, because the opportunity is there, the demand is there already. You just have to make sure that you structure the business in such a way that you are actually profitable. Okay, and that's really important to really think about the profitability sort of mindset. So now, what are the franchise territory policies for Jiffy Lube? Well, the thing is that subject to any rights Jiffy Lube has already granted to other franchisees, the company will not permit another franchisee to open a Jiffy Lube service center within 3 miles of your service center. Within 3 miles. So just remember that, 3 miles, okay? And that's really good. And Jiffy Lube can license another franchisee to open a Jiffy Lube service center or establish or operate a service center at any location outside of this 3 mile boundary. So it's actually 3 miles. Remember that, 3 mile, okay? And franchisees have no right of first refusal or similar rights to acquire a new franchise outside of their existing 3 mile boundary. And Jiffy Lube actually offers a lot of resources in terms of training, in terms of marketing support, but also a third-party financing. So that's pretty good. You are in good hands if you want to think about it that way. You are really in good hand with Jiffy Lube. I want to talk to you now about the application here. So if you think about a Jiffy Lube franchise this year, let's talk about the application. So the process for starting a Jiffy Lube franchise is pretty straightforward, right? So everything starts with an application. You can go to the website and you start the process on the website. So again, going back to what I said, you are looking at $250,000 all the way to $750,000. So 250 to 750, okay. Net worth, you got to have at least $500,000, and make sure that you have a little bit of experience when it comes to mechanics, okay. If not, try to have try to have someone who has that kind of experience. But just remember that you're gonna have to really go through a pretty lengthy process, because Jiffy Lube wants to make sure that they have the right sort of candidates, and of course they will make sure that within the 3 mile radius that I just spoke to you about, there is no rival, there's no other franchisee, okay. But you got to have a little bit of cash. Normally, if you have let's say $250,000 all the way to 750,000 in disposable income, disposable assets, then it'll be good. This actually has nothing to do with the net worth I'm talking to you about. If you have any question, please let us know in the comment section. Tell us where you are routing from, your location, your city, state, and we'll tell you based on your geography what the conditions are for a Jiffy Lube franchising franchise opportunity, okay, and whether or not there is a potential for you to actually for you to be profitable. I mean, like I said, you can actually recoup your investment within 4 years. So, but depending on your geography, it might take longer or shorter. Let me give you other information. When you think about Jiffy Lube business franchise opportunities, let's talk about other information. One thing you need to understand is that Jiffy Lube uses the signature 4-step plan when performing an oil change. So that you have change, inspect, check, fill, and clean. Okay, so you got to really remember that. Why? Because customers are actually expecting this sort of operational model. So change, inspect, check, fill, and clean. Customers often opt to have other areas of their car checked out while having their oil serviced. So Jiffy Lube also works with independent lube operations to transform their store into a national brand that appeals to customers. So with Jiffy Lube on your side, you basically have name recognition, training, and a network of support. That's pretty good, okay? And so in terms of training here, everything happens in Houston, Texas. Okay, this is where they're located. This is where they are headquartered. So everything happens there, and the training is pretty lengthy. I mean, you're talking here about basically they walk you through their franchise model, everything you need to really understand in terms of operating the franchise itself. Okay, and really going through everything. Okay, accounting, customer service, how to train employees, how to train managers, how to but you got to be the training process is ongoing and requires the support and involvement of the franchisee, the franchisee. Recertification is required within 2 to 5 years of completion, depending on the certification level. So this is something that you need to really remember if you go through the certification through Jiffy Lube. Okay, you might have in some cases also financial assistance. So Soft US Products, parent company of the franchisor, offers several financing programs for its customers, including Jiffy Lube franchisees. And these programs may be discontinued or modified at any time without notice. So if you need money, if you need extra cash to actually run your Jiffy Lube, actually you might get help from Shell, the parent company, through the company that I just listed for you. So there is actually hope that if you have a deficit, a cash deficit, you can still operate a Jiffy Lube, no problem. But you just gotta be a little bit, let's say a little bit organized. Let me close to this conversation with money talks. So when you think about Jiffy Lube franchise, let's really go more granular in terms of money talks. Okay, so as an indirect, wholly owned subsidiary of Shell Oil Company, Jiffy Lube actually is a pretty well-known name in the U.S. because you don't have to worry about name recognition at all. Okay, you have the opportunity there already, and I've told you already that you have like 4 years to recoup your investment. That's important. Now, the reason why I want to talk about money here is that you are going to invest anywhere from $250,000 to $750,000 and into the business. And also, by the way, you are going to every year you are going to invest somewhere like $50,000 to $75,000. Okay, but you are able to let's say eke out, generate an income level of 90,000 to 100,000 every year. That's net profit. That's net income. That's after taxes, everything. Okay. So the opportunity is pretty interesting because that's about 10%. Okay, revenue 1 million, net income 100,000. So you're looking at 10%, and that's really good because you have a pretty good investment that is consistent. That's the thing. That's a little earlier. Jiffy Lube is a name well known, so you don't have to invest that much in terms of name recognition or in terms of advertising because that's done by corporate anyway. Corporate does it, and of course you have to pay a little bit. You have to contribute to an advertising fund, but the advertising is done nationally. Okay, and you might want to start a Jiffy Lube if you have the right location, because basically you are going to tap into a pretty profitable opportunity. Remember, I said to you 278 million to 278 to 300 million cars are operating in the U.S. Cars and trucks. That's a lot of cars. That's pretty close to the country's population, really. And the cool thing is that with Jiffy Lube, you are actually going to have help all along, okay, during training, even during recruitment, because a recruitment manager might interview you. Okay, so you can ask questions during the interview. They'll ask you questions too, okay? And if you make it past the interview, you typically attend a Discovery Day event at company headquarters in Houston, Texas, where you may actually meet the Jiffy Lube executive team. And Jiffy Lube may connect you with a business development manager. And once you have selected your ideal site, you generally sign your franchise agreement. And everything starts from there. They will support you. They'll basically put at your disposal a whole team, marketing team, business development team, financial team to kind of help you out. So what's the bottom line here to this conversation? I spoke to you about Jiffy Lube franchising, and basically I walked you through the whole let's say the whole process, okay? And I spoke to you first about I give you the overview, yeah, of course. Then I'll give you the opportunity. I also talk to you about the extras, okay, that you need to really be aware of. And I also spoke to you about the application. Very important to know about the application. And finally, now the money talks, also really critical. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.